All right, great environment. It's March. We're minutes away from March. Big time game. BBN turned out. Vanderbilt played great. Shot the ball great. And so I'm proud of our guys. It was a fun contest. Fire away. Hit me with questions.
Coach, I want to ask about Denzel. It's been a bit of an up and down season for him, but this is his 6th straight game in double digits. What have you seen from him really in this second half of conference play that's allowed him to be so consistent?
Yeah, I'm so impressed with him. We've talked about this story all season long, but he came in here to do one job, and he's doing a totally different job than he expected, we expected, anybody expected, and he's grown into, in the last 2 games, you think about on the road in the SEC and at home against a really, really good Vanderbilt team. He's 9-0. Like, that's hard to do. It's 2 teams that really pressure and really give you different looks, against 2 of the best steel guards in our league in terms of, Vanderbilt's backcourt. So he's been incredible. He makes big shots. He's really poised. He had a couple of unbelievable driving last night, and I think his defensive effort is getting overlooked a little bit because in the last 2 games, he's been so good defensively, and he's just making every play.
Mark, I'm curious, what can it do for your team's psyche to know they went to Nashville and got hammered by 25, come back and almost flip the tables on them completely? What can that do, especially this late in the year?
I don't know if the guys are reading into that. I just know that right now we want to keep growing as a basketball team and getting better. And we think we can. We think we are getting better. We shot the ball extremely well tonight. We handled some issues that we knew we were going to have to handle going into the game. I thought the guys were really, really locked in, and we gave up some things, but it was in the process of taking away other things. So I think we're just growing.
Mark, during the pregame radio show with Tom, I think he asked you about Colin, and you talked about watching him as a recruit and a high school player. To see the performance that he did now, how much of his potential has he realized with the way he's able to shoot the ball, and how much does he still have to grow and where he can elevate his game based on a performance like that?
Yeah, he's got so much. He got so much more, doesn't he? And the thing is he's just 6 for 8 tonight. Is that right? 6 for 8, really 7 for 9. And nobody that's watched him is surprised. Is anybody surprised? I mean, a week ago he was the #1 3-point shooter in the SEC, and so it's crazy that a guy goes 6 for 8 and nobody's surprised. It's just like that's what he does, and he's got a calmness and a poise, and he's getting more. He's always been, we've talked about this a lot. He's always been confident, but he's just getting more and more comfortable, and his ceiling is incredibly high. Like he's got so much more in the tank. Probably the best play was, he said we got to a high ball screen and DA had a great driving line against Tanner Tyler, and then Colin was like, oh, that looks cool. Let me get a shot at that. And 2 possessions later, he gets exactly the same play, makes the exact same play, and that's fun watching your guys grow.
Coach here in the back. A little bit off topic, but recently Muhammad put out a video about how he was preparing for your last game, and he's obviously observing Ramadan. So I just wanted to get your thoughts on it as a man of faith yourself, and if you guys are doing anything special to kind of keep his energy levels good during games like this.
Yeah, we've talked about it as a team, and I think when you sacrifice, literally when you make things sacred, you hope you spend your whole life making things sacred. And he is making this sacred. And when you sacrifice to make things sacred, the payoff sometimes is rewarded by a great play. Sometimes it's just like inside yourself. But you always get payoff for making things sacred. It takes a lot of work and sacrifice to make things sacred, but that's what he's doing. I have unbelievable respect for him. You think about, so just what he's doing, and to do it, at this point in season, and there's nobody that's making him do it. It's just a sign of his devotion to his faith, and he's not even, his personal choice is to not even rinse out his mouth during games. So you can imagine he got up this morning and had a full shoot around, and then rested, and then had a full game where, he comes out here and plays 24 minutes in a really, really competitive game, and is incredibly physical, and never even rinses his mouth out, and won't for the next 5 hours until he eats again. I think that's a beautiful thing. I think when people make commitments like that, and they sacrifice to make things sacred, I think it's special, and it's just who he is. So I could talk about that for days because I'm really proud of him, and he just is it's just a great sign. We should all be taking things in our life and making them sacred. And Leanna's like, would you stop? Please stop. Sorry.
Mark, it's a horrid sports writing cliche that veteran guards win in March.
Yeah.
You're going into March with 2 seniors and a fourth-year sophomore.
Yeah.
How big an advantage can that be for you?
It's important. I think, you look at this season this year, and there's some young teams that are really winning huge also with young backcourts. It's just us. It's who we are. It's been fun. Otega Owe, you think he walks into the season as the preseason SEC Player of the Year. So how do you grow from that? Like, you're supposed to be the best player in the league. But for everybody that's really been paying attention, it's been incredible to watch him grow. And he's sitting there, with 6 points somewhere, halftime-ish, and a little bit of frustration, but he is trying to make plays for guys, but there's a little frustration. It's just like, if you stay in this game's going to come back to you, and like he magically does, he ends up, with another 23-point game, and watching him kind of grow into that, like, rarefied air understanding of the game is pretty fun. So these veteran guards are fun to coach.
Mark, over here, kind of a two-part question. First being, just how big of a tone setter was it for you guys to come out and play the way that you did in the first half, especially with as many times this season as you guys have been on the opposite end of kind of a double-digit deficit? And then secondly, when you come out of halftime, there was no let-up, and you guys kept that level.
I'll tell you, I was proud of the 46-45 second half. I was really proud of that. That's with us not, playing far from perfect, but making enough plays. I was really proud of the guys for staying really aggressive. As Vanderbilt tried to extend the press, and our guys just attacked it. It's what we do when we're at our best. There was not second guessing. Guys were super aggressive against the press, and we ended up with 4 or 5 layups, a couple of N1s, just with our guys making great aggressive decisions. And that's how you want your guys to feel. You don't want them to feel like they're on their heels, and they did a nice job with that.
Mark, you all shot under, 30% in the last 2 games from behind the arc, but today you shot 50%. How big is that for your team's confidence going into the final week of the season?
It's fun to make shots. It makes life easier. We never think we win or lose because we make or miss shots, but it is fun to make shots. And I don't know. I think what are we? Are probably the second best 3-point shooting team in the conference. What are we right now, Deb? We're second. Yeah. So we shoot. We make shots. That's the way this team was put together, and it's what we do, and it's what we're doing, and so we trust that we'll make shots, and our guys have done it.
Mark, I think on Thursday.
Oh, did we get this young man back here? Oh, okay. Fair enough. Okay.
Mark, I think on Thursday your exact quote is, "We're not as efficient from 36 to 38 as we are from 32 to 34."
Yeah.
How pleased were you with the showing tonight, being able to keep Owe at 34, getting 30 out of Colin and some of those other guys kind of filling bigger roles?
Well, I didn't do a great job with DA. DA's 37, but he handled it. He managed it really well. He really, really managed it well. I think you saw some of those really explosive plays from O down the stretch, and he seemed comfortable. He probably could have played a couple more minutes. I thought Jasper was really good. I like Jasper a lot tonight. Jasper comes at us with 0 turnovers and against a backcourt that's really, one of the best turnover-creating backcourts in our league. So I thought Jasper was great off the bench. Trent gave us some really quality minutes off the bench. I thought AJ was great starting the game, and BG helped us off the bench. BG has given us something on the glass and defensively, and so our bench matters, and I thought those guys were good. And if we can stay in this space, that's our golden kind of number. If we can stay somewhere between 32 and 36, we have a chance to operate at our very best.
Mark, you talked about Mo's sacrifice. Colin put his own career on hold for 2 years for a mission trip. You just got Avery back from a mission trip. How does all that have nothing to do with basketball? Does it make you appreciate basketball more, the guys, you think?
I think so. I think it does. I think it makes you appreciate it, and I think it also gives you some perspective. And I think it's, yes. The answer is yes. I could talk about it for an hour, but I'm just going to say yes. Because you're saying stop talking so much.
Were there any stretches where you felt the game could have...
Just real quick, just to emphasize, you guys know there was a moment where I talked a little bit too much. I don't know when it was, a week or so ago, and it was really expensive. So we're trying to, like, especially like, we're trying to work on a budget here, and I kind of ruined that. So Leanne is fully justified in saying, would you just stop? Okay, sorry, young man, go ahead.
Were there any stretches where you felt the game could have slipped away, and how did you refocus your team?
Yeah, great question, by the way. That's an excellent question. There were a lot of moments, but you're working on yourself as a coach, just like you're working on your guys, to stay aggressive. So there are times when you think you're in a good spot, and your instinct is to pull back and be more conservative, and you're usually wrong when you do that. Usually, it's like prevent defense in football. It usually prevents you from winning, right? And so our guys did an unbelievable job. I think our staff did a really good job of staying aggressive in those moments in the second half where you're kind of not nursing a lead, but you're trying to play the game. And I thought our guys were excellent at that. So there's a lot of moments where you catch yourself, where you kind of got to readjust your thing and say, stay aggressive, stay aggressive, stay aggressive, keep making plays. And I think that contributed to our guys' success. Thanks, guys.